All right, boys and girls, here we are making the answer key for this 2015 practice exam. Hopefully this will reflect all of the topics that you are supposed to review. So here we go, starting off with some quadratic review. Solve for x. A solution is simply an x that when we plug it in there makes a true statement. It's much easier to solve a quadratic because, and we know it's a quadratic because there's a little 2 there, it's a second degree. It's much easier to solve these by shoving everything over to one side, setting equal to 0, and then hoping we can factor it or use the quadratic formula. All right. So when I subtract x from both sides and subtract 6 from both sides, I do get my 0. I get x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals 0, and that does factor, thank goodness. It factors when this is a plus sign, so that they're both the same sign. They're both whatever this is, and it's a minus, so they're both minus. And then it's x, and it's 1, and it's 4. Those multiply to make a positive 4, add up to make a negative 5. So that's a solution when I have x be equal to a number that will give me 0 there, and that's going to be a positive 1 or a positive 4 here when I plug that in. So there it is, 1 and 4. All right? Exact answers. If that didn't work out, I hit it with the quad form stick. All right, here we go. The product of some number, that's going to be x. The product means multiply. Multiply this with 5 less than the number. When you 5 less than a number, you write it like this. Be careful. It's not x. It's not 5 minus x. It's x minus 5. If I'm 5 years less than I am now, you take my age and take away 5. All right, is equal to 7 more than the number. Here, we do it like that. Okay, when I distribute this and distribute that, I'm going to get x squared minus 5x equals 7 plus x. And now it's a lot like this one up here. Subtract x, subtract 7, and then I guess I can sneak that in there, subtract 7, draw a line, I get x squared minus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Can I factor that? Well, I think I can. I've got x minus 7 and x plus 1. That gives me 0, and I have x then is equal to 7 or negative 1. Those are my two solutions. Solve for the number. Well, I actually have two solutions, but we're usually thinking positive, so maybe if I'd reworded that to say positive. But there you go. Okay. Graph the following function. Find and label any key parts, including the intercepts. Well, this is that vertex form, and what this means is we can shift a parabola left and right this way. We can shift it up and down with this number. This is what I call opposite land, so we go plus 1, 2, 3 to get our axis of symmetry for a parabola. It's going to be mirror image there. And up 6, so there it is, up 6. And it's going to open down. And parabolas go over 1 and then down 1. Over 2 and down the square of 2, that's 4. Over 3 and down 9. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9. So it should go through negative 3, right like that. So if I sketch this, and I can label key points, like this one is 3, 6 for the vertex, you want to label that. I'm going to label this intercept as 0, negative 3. And you can always just plug in 0. And if I plug in 0 and square negative 3, they get 9. Negative 9 plus 6 is minus 3, so I can get that point two ways. This is the symmetric point, 6, negative 3, but that's not critical to label, but you definitely want to find these intercepts, okay? And the way we find that is by using the quadratic formula, or we could extract the root, but since this has a quadratic formula component to it, I think it's worth doing that. So it's going to be minus, and then when I FOIL this out, I multiply x minus 3 times itself. I FOIL that out, I get x squared minus 6x plus 9, and then that's plus 6. Then I just bring the minus sign into each of these. This is basic algebra. Hopefully you guys are really solid on this. Minus x squared plus 6x minus 9 plus 6 gives me a final answer of, and this is when I want it to be equal to 0. 0 equals then minus x squared plus 6x minus 3. Okay? This will not factor, so I plug it into quadratic formula. So that's going to be solutions when x is minus b is 6 plus or minus the square root of b squared, that's 36, minus 4 times a, which is negative 1, times c, which is negative 3. Negative 1 for a, 6 for b, and c then is minus 3. All over 2 times a, that's 12. Alright, so then I just have to go through, and this is where you want to try to give an exact answer if possible. That's going to be minus 6 plus or minus, well, 36, and then this is 4 times 3 is 12. So, and that's going to be 2 minuses make a plus, but the next one makes it minus again. 36 minus 12 is 24, all over 12. Okay, so then that's going to be the square root of 24. If I do my little factor tree, 24 goes 2 and 12 and 2 and 6 and 2 and 3, running out of space there. But that gives me 2's come out to the prom. These guys are left behind, so that's minus 6 plus or minus 2 square root of 6 all over 12. Then I can cancel a 2 everywhere. And my final answer is that x has intercepts of minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 6 over 6 when I've canceled 2. And that's what these are. Okay, so I could maybe draw a line up there, and that would be good enough. Alright, you could also find on a calculator they're going to be approximately like 1.5 and 5.5, something like that. Okay, given this data set, sketch a stem and leaf plot and describe the basic shape. So stem and leaf plot, that's where you put the first digit out. I've put these in order for you, so that was very nice of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Those are the first digits all the way up to 88. And then I'd go with a line like this, and dividers like that can be helpful. And I have a 7, and then a 2 and a 6 for 26, and this goes pretty quickly. 1, 3, 4, 5, 9 for 39, then 46 and 55, 62 and 3, and 5 and 6, and then another 6. Make sure you don't lose track. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. And that's 4 and 9 and then 8. Well, what shape is this? So this to me looks like it's pretty classically a bimodal, where it has 2 key areas where the data is concentrated. Okay? So that's the first page. This one now, we're looking